Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into a massive story today, happening squarely at the intersection of clean energy and global tech. We're going to unpack the fascinating forces behind an Indian rooftop solar startup called SolarSquare and their landmark new funding round that has literally everyone in the industry turning their heads. Whether you actively follow renewable energy or you're just interested in the broader global tech ecosystem, the stakes here are absolutely huge. So let's get into it. Okay, let's talk numbers, because the sheer scale of this news is wild. $500 million. SolarSquare is in advanced talks right now to raise up to $60 million, and this new Series C round is pushing their valuation to a staggering $500 million. What makes that so crazy? Well, it more than doubles their valuation from just 18 months ago. You've got heavy-hitting investors like B Capital and Lightspeed Venture Partners co-leading the round. And fun fact, Lightspeed is actually investing through the exact same growth fund that backed giants like Razorpay and Zepto. We're also expecting their existing investor, Elevation Capital, to jump in too. So you might be wondering, what exactly is driving this massive surge in value? Well, a valuation like that doesn't just appear out of thin air. The raw metrics backing this up are seriously impressive. SolarSquare is executing at a phenomenal scale. Since being founded back in 2015, they've installed over 150 megawatts of capacity across 29 cities in 9 different states. We're talking about powering roughly 50,000 homes and 400 entire housing societies. And financially, they've crossed an annualized revenue run rate of more than 10 billion rupees, which sits right around $104 million. Now, while they do serve major enterprise clients, names you definitely know like Swiggy, Zepto, and ID Fresh Food, residential customers actually make up the bulk of their business today. They made a really smart strategic pivot to scale back on lower-margin industrial projects, and it's paying off. It's definitive proof that terrestrial solar economics actually do work at a consumer scale. Section 1. India's Rooftop Revolution. To really grasp why this startup is exploding the way it is, we have to zoom out and look at India's national solar trajectory. Because this isn't just about one company, it's about an entire nation's infrastructure fundamentally shifting. Back in 2014, India had just a mere 3 gigawatts of installed solar capacity. Fast forward to 2026, and that number has skyrocketed to over 150 gigawatts. That makes India the world's 3rd largest solar power producer in 2025, sitting just behind China and the US. And they are definitely not stopping there. The government has laid out a super ambitious target to hit 500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030, with solar expected to do the heavy lifting for more than half of that goal. So what's pouring fuel on this fire? Aggressive government policy. There's a scheme called the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, and it is a total game changer. It provides subsidies that cover up to 60% of rooftop solar installation costs for everyday households. This has intensely accelerated demand, especially in urban and semi-urban areas. Now, historically, this market has been incredibly fragmented, totally dominated by small local installers. So this government push perfectly sets the stage for a full-stack platform like SolarSquare to just swoop in and capture all that heavily subsidized demand at a scale we've never seen before. They're essentially positioning themselves to be the default choice for any household wanting to tap into this government benefit. Section 2. The AI Energy Paradox. Okay, so to really understand the global stakes here, we need to talk about a massive, frankly, kind of ironic contradiction in tech right now. Energy is suddenly the most hotly contested resource on the planet. On one hand, you have these incredibly resource-heavy AI ventures in the West. Look at Elon Musk's xAI, for example. They are powering their AI data centers by leaning on $2.8 billion in traditional gas turbines, which is crazy when you think about it because Tesla's own solar division generates billions in revenue, yet it's largely being ignored by Musk's AI company in favor of natural gas. But then, on the other hand, you have India rapidly deploying decentralized consumer-scale clean rooftop solar at record speeds. It is a stark contrast. The global AI industry is betting on resource-heavy legacy power, while everyday Indian households are quietly building out a vast clean energy grid. But here is where these two completely different worlds crash into each other, and you definitely want to take note of this. Paradoxically, the immense resource drain of this global AI boom is actually having a direct, severe impact on the very consumers building that solar grid in India. Because AI data centers demand so much memory chip prices have absolutely surged worldwide. And the direct result of that? Well, in the first quarter of 2026, India saw a staggering 59% collapse in its sub-$100 smartphone market year over year. This perfectly illustrates a profound tension that is kind of defining our era.
Think about it. The exact same country that is rapidly deploying all this incredible rooftop solar is simultaneously losing access to the affordable smartphones that make its digital economy function. SolarSquare isn't just an energy company, right? It's a vital piece of the infrastructure that makes a digital economy possible. But without affordable power, the rest of the digital stack just collapses. You can have all the cheap decentralized solar power in the world, but if the global AI industry's resource demands make smartphones unaffordable, the entire consumer tech ecosystem fractures.
Section 3, Winning Through Vertical Integration. Let's zoom back into the micro level for a second and look at how SolarSquare is actually winning this market. The competitive landscape is fierce. You've got legacy heavyweights like Tata Power, Wari Energies, Luminous Power Technologies, and Exide Industries. But here's the thing. They mostly operate through these fragmented dealer networks and local installer partnerships. It leads to a pretty disjointed relationship with the customer. SolarSquare's deep competitive moat is vertical integration. They control literally every single step of the process, from the very first design to the actual installation, all the way through to ongoing maintenance. Now, is that model harder to scale than just handing things off to a dealer network? Absolutely, it's tough. But it creates significantly stronger customer retention. They own the entire relationship, end to end, which is a massive advantage when you're trying to build a trusted consumer brand in a chaotic, fast-growing market. So as we wrap up this explainer, we're left looking at this bold $500 million bet on the future. If this funding round closes at the reported terms, it's going to be one of the largest venture investments in India's clean energy sector this entire year. But it also leaves us with a really critical, provocative question to ponder. Looking ahead at the next decade of global technology, which energy model is truly going to power our future? Are we going to be defined by these centralized, resource-heavy AI data centers just burning through gas in global memory supplies? Or will the true tech revolution actually be built on the backs of affordable, decentralized consumer power, installed one rooftop at a time? It is going to be a fascinating race to watch. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on the grid.